Hello and welcome to NHL Best Bets. Last night there were again good games, very interesting ones. Let's go first through the picks that we made. Um, Here you see Arizona, LA Kings. LA was favorite in our simulations, small underdog at home in bookmakers, and the game 3-2 was maybe a bit underperformance from the LA Kings. Arizona goalie Antti Raanta, who came back from long absence, was playing very well, and he was one of the reasons why Kings didn't win this one. They outshoot Arizona 42-23, so if you think shots result should be different. And then Minnesota Vegas, that was a bit off pick from us. Minnesota was overshooting Vegas as well, but result 5-1 was maybe telling a better story of the game. Vegas was a clearly better team, and Minnesota shows that even though they have been playing well recently, they are maybe not among top two in West Division. Tommy, your comments on these games?
I'm seeing red here. It's not good. Not good picks, but it was a close one again. Like you said, Los Angeles Kings outshot Arizona clearly. Antti Raanta, who we doubted a little bit, showed that we shouldn't do that, and he took everything he could. Arizona scored 2 goals on 3 power plays. Los Angeles scored 1 goal in 4, so 1 difference there. But it was a really close call, and I would go with the Kings again with these odds because no goalie will save this many shots many times in a row, except maybe then Marc-Andre Fleury, who we also doubted in Vegas. He played his 10th game in a row. Showed no signs of fatigue. Sorry about that, Marc-Andre. We shouldn't have doubted you. He was the man of the match again. Kept Minnesota at bay. The visitors definitely got very frustrated, couldn't score goals, and then in the end it was Vegas that took the spoils, and deservedly so. So this pick might have been a bit bad from us. Minnesota couldn't match the Vegas in any department in the game. They did shoot a lot, but they couldn't really threaten Fleury and Vegas. And then Vegas, in the end, like better teams usually do, put up one more gear, and then it's bye-bye. So 5-1, maybe not exactly the picture of the game. It wasn't that clear, but still a clear win for Vegas and a bad pick from us.
We discussed about Minnesota's goalie, and our projection before the game was that Kaapo Kähkönen should play there. He wasn't there, and Cam Talbot took another 5 goals. I think one was empty netter, but still he wasn't maybe at the level of Mr. Marc-Andre Fleury again in this match.
Yeah, I have a very strong opinion about that goaltender choice in this game. When you have a 2 goaltender duo that is playing a lot, you have a young guy, Kaapo Kähkönen, coming in the ranks, played really well while Talbot was gone. Why don't you put him in the goal in a back-to-back sort of situation when the number 1 goaltender you have has allowed 5 goals and lost the game previously? So I think that's a coaching mistake. Of course, there can be something we don't know, so let's not judge too badly. But I was expecting that Kähkönen will start and probably could have gotten a better performance than Talbot now. Of course, you can't blame the goaltender if you score only 1 goal, but still maybe a little different game if Kähkönen would have started.
Yeah. This time we won't send our invoice to the head coach of Minnesota, but next time we'll do, because this didn't make too much sense based on information that we have here. How about other games? I think our predictions were reasonably okay by machine, but we managed to pick those games that resulted red last night.
Yeah, that's interesting that we picked those 2 games that were incorrect. So every other game the machine had correct, so side value and money line. and also the totals where one game did not have a selection, but 4 correct and 1 incorrect. So yeah, the machine beats man once again. So shame on us.
Yeah. Do you have there the season total so far? How much machine has generated profit for individuals who have been following that predictions game after game?
Yeah, I have the updated numbers here. So far, in the side value, the profit is 1,982 in 300. Oh, that's a hard count. 340 games approximately played. So plus 1,982 is the profit. Pretty good result. And in the money line, even better, it's 2,156. So every game, of course, we have a selection of money line and the side value. So this is a very good result from us. In the totals, we have a little bit less picks. There is 260 picks. So not every game has value in the totals. Here we are minus 733. So about 7 to 8 picks have gone wrong more than correct. So a little bit to do better there with the totals, but as we've seen, the totals are pretty hard to predict and also hard to make profit when you don't have the odds of over, let's say, minus 110 usually is the line. So it's understandable, but let's try to get that in the plus as well. We have one pick more correct than wrong, but still the minus result because of the odds.
That's a very good performance by the machine, especially if you compare to our performance in those picks. But that's somehow expected that machine performs well. It's always hit and miss how well we perform. But and hopefully these 2 next picks that we do for tonight will do better than last night's. It cannot go any worse. Let's put it that way. So we are lying on the bottom, and there is only one way. Here you see the games that we selected for tonight's game. Winnipeg goes to Montreal, and they have improved their performance, or they have performed last few weeks on a level that we've expected. Out of last 5 games, they won 4, and at the same time, Canadiens have performed as we expected well recently. So they have lost, I think, 4 games out of last 5. They won Ottawa in previous games 3-1 in Montreal, but Winnipeg is a bit better team than Ottawa, at least in our books. And especially when Winnipeg gets 141 plus odds, that's good value for bet. Then Toronto travels to Vancouver. They beat Edmonton again last night, and offense didn't show too much slack there, 6-1. That tells all that we need to know about amount of goals that Toronto can score. Edmonton is of course not the best defensive team, but neither is Vancouver. So here over 6 goals odds reasonable, minus 108. And even though Toronto has been able to shut out Edmonton twice and allowed only 1 score in last 3 games, that tells a bit more about Edmonton's not the ability to score than great defense of Toronto. So expectation is that there will be good amount of goals in this game.
Yeah, those are good picks, and we've been with Winnipeg quite from the beginning of the season. They have been ups and downs for the team, but with these odds, plus 141 is a ridiculously high odds, especially against Montreal, who've been struggling as of late. They changed the head coach, still lost a couple of games. Now they got their revenge against Ottawa, but it is Ottawa, so a little bit of a false positive there maybe for Montreal Canadiens. They haven't been performing that well, while Winnipeg has been able to win these close games. They've been much more competitive than early on the season. So I think with these odds, this is a no-brainer. It can be very much of a coin flip of a game. We do have Winnipeg winning 50.8% of the simulation, so it is a coin flip, but still with the odds of plus 141, this is a no-brainer for us. And then when you take a look at how Toronto has played, they're facing now Vancouver. Not very great team defensively. They have young guys in the offense, especially one line has been impressive. I think they are able to score a couple of goals, and Toronto now back-to-back game, maybe a little bit tired, so their defense probably not as vigorous as it was previously against Edmonton, but the offense is red hot and they will score a lot of goals. Got Auston Matthews back. They're firing with all four cylinders. So last night it was more of the bottom six guys who took the game, beat Edmonton easily, and now it's time for Vancouver to feel the Toronto's wrath. And needs to be said that Toronto has been playing maybe even better on the road than they have at home this season.
Yeah, Toronto looks really to be the number one team in Scotia North Division. We predicted Edmonton to have a head-to-head matchup before the season with Toronto, but last three games in Edmonton showed clearly that these teams are in different level. Edmonton scored 1 goal in 3 games, while Toronto scored 13. So 1-13 in 3 games shows a significant statistical sample, and I think Edmonton needs to improve quite a bit in order to challenge Toronto in the playoffs.
Yeah, it does look again that you can stop Edmonton by stopping McDavid and Draisaitl, so no one else is able to produce anything. If you manage to shut these guys out, there is nothing going on offensively like we saw, and also now a little bit lacking in the defense against the Toronto games, 3 games, and the defense wasn't impressive either. Of course, Toronto, probably the league's best offensive team at the moment, at least. So I would like to see Toronto play Tampa Bay at the moment, because those two teams are now red hot and they are on top of their game. So would be interesting matchup, but can't have that yet. So let's see if the playoffs bring that for us.
Speaking about Tampa Bay, they are traveling to Chicago, play against Chicago Blackhawks. Their home team has some value in our simulations because the odds for Tampa are minus 200 or even lower than that one. Do you see any kind of chances for surprise there if Kevin Lankinen shuts out his goal and don't allow any single goal in the game?
Yeah, after praising Tampa Bay, it's hard to say this, but I do believe that it's a closer game than indicated by the odds, because the odds would say that Tampa Bay wins 65% of the games, but I don't think that's the case. The simulations show Tampa Bay favored about 55%, so that's closer. They're on the road. It's against a team that they don't meet that often, Chicago. Chicago has been on a good run. They play defensively. They have great goaltending, and then a couple of guys who can turn the game to their favor. So Patrick Kane has been excellent, and a couple of other guys as well. So I think it's a lot closer than the odds look, and I wouldn't bet on Tampa in this case. But of course, if it goes to shootout overtime, the better team usually has the edge, so be careful there. If you are betting on this, and maybe watch the game, be ready for the cash out, or maybe putting another bet to make a safety.
Yeah, Tampa has won now 5 games in a row, and Dallas maybe not performing as expected, were not able to score a single goal in these last 2 games. Tampa was very convincing in these Stanley Cup final rematches.
Yeah, that was
any other games that you think would? Sorry, Any other games that you think would have value in tonight's 10 game of schedule?
Yeah, I was building a bridge there from Tampa Bay's dominance over Dallas to the game that Dallas is playing now against Columbus. Completely different team than Tampa Bay, of course, for Dallas to face Columbus. Probably a bounce back from the Stars. Not very good games against Tampa Bay, so a very good chance for beating Columbus. We have small value for Columbus actually, but it's parts of a percentage, so no winner there, but the under is the pick that I would take here. We have about 65% of under 5.5 goals, so very low scoring game. Expected Columbus, as we've seen, struggled mightily, couldn't really score. Defense has been somewhat of an issue as well, so this is probably going to be a tight matchup, but I think Dallas might have a small edge here, but I still say it's a clear under, so look for that, especially if the number one goaltenders are up. Joonas Korpisalo for Columbus and Khudobin for Dallas. Korpisalo has played now quite a lot because of the injury to Latvian Elvis, but we'll see what's the situation there in Columbus.
Yeah, and like you said, Columbus is a very slight favorite, or provides some slight value, even though it's not the favorite in our simulations. But do you think there are other road underdogs that are worth to bet when they provide some expected value? Buffalo goes to New York Islanders. They have some value there. Same applies Ottawa. They go to Calgary, some small value there, as well as then Detroit goes to Carolina. But all of these teams have a win probability somewhere in 30s. So is it worth to put these to 3-game parlay?
I think it's a very long shot to make any parlays from these underdogs here. I think the odds are a little bit lopsided. They shouldn't be this clearly for the favorites, but of course, when you have a 30% chance of winning, you shouldn't put 3 in the same thing, but maybe 1 is enough and you still make a profit. But you have to choose which one it would be, so don't listen to us in these sort of cases, but have a look what the simulations say. But we do have a couple of percent for Buffalo and also Ottawa and what was the third team? Detroit on the road. So these are, like we've said, in NHL, there are no easy games. So when you have the home odds of this plus 290 or something, there might be something off, and the underdog might just well take the points.
And it looks like the value is now lying in all these away games, not only Winnipeg, but also Philadelphia when they are visiting Pittsburgh, and Florida when they are visiting or continuing their series in Nashville. Do you think these road favorites are then better picks tonight?
Yeah, it's a bit surprising to see these sort of simulations. But for example, the Battle of Pennsylvania second game now, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia. Pittsburgh won the first one without Sidney Crosby. Philadelphia was not very good in that game, so there is definite bounce back effect expected now with the Philly team. They were quite bad in the first one, so that's why they probably are favored now. Pittsburgh still playing a little bit better than we have anticipated, but it might be that Flyers take over this time. A bit of a similar situation in the other games as well. When you have a road favorite for about 60%, it is a good pick if the team is better, as in these cases it is so. For example, New Jersey, New York Rangers, we have been predicting Rangers to win a lot. They haven't, but it is a bit better team if you take a look at the players. So Rangers should build a better performance than we've seen so far, but there is a lot to be hoped for from that team. So they've been really disappointing. Let's hope they can turn their game and beat New Jersey tonight.
Yeah, that's another interesting game. These two teams are not really the ones that we predicted. Top of the division, New York Rangers, like you said, has underperformed greatly, and the recent season forecasts show that they are not anymore playoff bound team. But let's see if they can turn their ship. But that turn should start pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's a really close matchup, and in the Eastern Division, like we've been repeating all season, the margins are very small. So if you win 4 games in a row, suddenly you are easily going in the playoffs. And then if you lose 4, you're out, and it looks like it's gonna be a pretty tough matchup between all these teams to reach the final playoff positions. The top teams might go Boston, and Washington seem to go on top, but then it's all open with Islanders, Penguins, New Jersey, and even Rangers have the chance to mix up this deck.
Let's see how the match in New York metropolitan area goes tonight, and we'll come back tomorrow with a recap of these games, and we'll also check a little bit season futures quickly. If those are updated or changed. They are updated every day, but if they are changed from the previous review.
Yeah, let's do that, and let's hope for some green for tonight.